Is this thing on right here? Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Okay, let's all stand for the Green Bay Packers, all right? Come on. Yeah. What the heck? Some of you stayed standing. You do know it's America's team, right? Yes, he did. Oh, thank you. Where are you from?
Wisconsin.
Where? Where in Wisconsin?
Near Janesville.
Where?
Janesville.
Okay, Janesville. I think you're making it up because you mispronounced it. It's James, not James, but hey, it's great. Milwaukee. So, Kenosha, you said? Awesome. So, Madison. So, I'm actually one of the owners of the Green Bay Packers. And you, too, for $400 can be an owner of the Green Bay Packers. So, that's the one thing Arthur Blank and I have a lot in common. So, actually, I am here with the delegation, for much of the Georgia delegation. If you don't mind, I'd love to have these guys just stand up. We got Rick Allen. From which district, Rick? Right. We got Drew Ferguson. We got Doug Collins. Karen Handel. Austin Scott. Barry Loudermilk. And why don't you introduce yourself? Because are we not in your district? Oh, it's Barry's district. I apologize, Barry.
But I'm Tom Grace.
Tom Grace. I'm going to say it. I thought we were in your district. Oh, I'm sorry. Barry Louder, this is your. You guys have so many districts here. It's so big. In Wisconsin, we don't have congressional districts like this. So Tom and I are in the middle of doing appropriations right now. So we've been busy at work. I just got a couple questions I want to ask you before you ask me any. Who actually uses a lawnmower like this? I used that with my grandma, when I was mowing her lawn when I was a kid. But that is exactly the lawnmower I have right now. So please keep pushing Toro products. Thank you for doing that. That's a big Wisconsin product. And this is exactly right. We've got S.C. Johnson over in Racine. And just thank you for pushing the Milwaukee Tool products. Milwaukee Tool products are fantastic. We got 3,500 great family-sustaining jobs in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, because of the partnership that they have with you here at Home Depot. So thank you for pushing that great product. And Kohler goes without saying, we're very, very proud of Kohler and what that team up there in Kohler, Wisconsin has done. So I just love to see the fact that through your more than 2,000 stores, you've got these fantastic American-made goods that are being sold across the country. I don't want to go into a long spiel, only to make a couple of points, and then I'd rather just answer your questions. But one of the reasons that we're here is because we worked so hard to try and fix one of the biggest problems we were facing in this country with respect to our economic policy. Our economy was not growing near the rate it should have been growing. We had this horrible recession in 2008, and then we had really flat wages. We lost millions of jobs. We had very high unemployment, and we saw wages just flat. We saw living standards flat, and we saw America slipping in global competition to the point where we saw a bunch of American companies moving overseas and becoming foreign companies because of our tax system. So we all set out in 2016 to work on bringing an agenda to the country to try and fix some of these big problems. And one of the biggest problems we saw in our economy was our tax system was so messed up. And our tax code was the worst tax code in the industrialized world. We had the highest rates on businesses. We made it almost impossible for businesses to bring their money back home if they made money overseas. And so we set forth to do tax reform. And we're very excited about the outcome of tax reform because what is now happening in America is precisely what we were hoping would happen in America by passing tax reform. Our top tax rate used to be 35% on businesses, biggest in the world, highest in the world. Now it's 21%. We tell businesses if you want to invest in your people, in your plant, in your equipment, we call it expensing. You can write off all of that investment if you do, in the year in which you do it so that you do it. Because we want more businesses investing in their businesses in this country, which ends up hiring more people. $11 billion of capital investments Home Depot is launching in the next 3 years. That's exactly what we were hoping to see happen when we did tax reform. And then when we see literally $2 to $3 trillion of money that was overseas that wouldn't come back into this country because of our tax laws, we were keeping it away. By passing tax reform, so much of that money is coming back into this country. Apple alone is bringing back a couple $100 billion and is building a new campus in America and hiring 20,000 people. So that is just one of the things that we were trying to get done with tax reform. But I think the thing that we're so excited about that you're experiencing is the family relief. The fact that if you have kids, your child tax credit goes from $1,000 to $2,000. The fact that rates are across the board going down so that you will have seen in your withholdings a bigger paycheck. 90% of American workers are getting more pay as of February because of tax reform. And I just want to thank your management team here for the bonuses that you've given to your associates across the country, because that means you're passing on the savings in tax reform. So we're very excited to see this happening, because what we now see is unemployment in America is at a 17-year low. Optimism, economic confidence is at a 17-year high. Manufacturing and small business optimism and confidence is at an all-time high. And being that this is Home Depot, home building is at an 18-year high. So we are seeing the benefits of this economic growth plan because our economy is growing faster. That means wages are growing. Now what we want to work on are people. Where we're going to spend our time this year is we've got infrastructure we want to work on, because I think you guys have congestion here by chance. Do you? We want to work on infrastructure and modernizing our infrastructure, but we also want to work on people. And that means we've got a lot of able-bodied men and women in this country who just aren't getting on the ladder of life like they ought to, like they could. And part of that is we have a skills gap in this country. We have an opportunity gap in this country. So we want to make sure that we can fix our education system so that if somebody can go get a career in technical education, get a skill using a tool, being a welder or an electrician, we want to ease the path so people can go get those skills so they can get these jobs that are being made available in this growing economy. And we also have too many people who are on the sidelines in this country. We have a welfare benefit system that in so many cases makes it more worthwhile to stay where you are instead of going and getting a job. The highest tax rate in this country is not 37%, what it is now. The highest tax rate arguably in this country is a single mom with 2 kids getting $24,000 in benefits who will lose 80 cents on the dollar if she goes and takes a job. So we don't want to penalize work. We want to do everything we can to pull people out of poverty into the workforce, to get rid of this skills gap and this opportunity gap. And that is one thing we're going to be focusing on like a laser in this economy in this year, because we're going to have jobs being offered. We want to make sure that people can fill those jobs, and we want to make sure that people get the skills they need to get those jobs so they can get good careers. And so that is really the completion of the agenda that we've been working on for the last 2 years. Any of you are veterans here? Because I know there's a lot of vets. First of all, thank you for serving. Second of all, what we're in the middle of doing right now is another piece of our agenda, which is to rebuild our military and to overhaul our VA system so that they get the care they deserve and they get the training and the equipment that they need. And so that is something that so those are among the things that we're working on, but all I basically want to say is thank you all so much for being great Green Bay Packer fans. I know you all mean it deep in the heart, but with that, I just want to be happy to answer any of your questions. So thank you for having me. Yeah.
All right.
Tell me your name.
My name's Shane Lord. I'm in the legal department. And thank you for, that's funny, right?
You don't sound like you're from Wisconsin.
No, I'm not from Wisconsin. I'm from Georgia. Thank you for coming to speak to us. And again, thank you for tax reform and the new corporate tax rate. I think that's fantastic. My question is related to the tariffs that we've been talking about recently and what to do with countries that are...
Tom Graves and I were just talking about that on the car here. I said, I bet somebody brings up, I said, do they sell things with steel and aluminum in them in Home Depot? Didn't we? First question, yeah.
Well,
yeah. Go ahead, yeah.
I'm happy to oblige. My question is do you think tariffs, one, are good for the U.S. economy? And I mean consumers, businesses, workers. And if they're not, is there a better or more effective way to address unfair trade practices?
Yeah. I actually think there is a better and more effective way to address unfair trade practices, and that is to go after those practices specifically. I used to chair the committee that is in charge of trade in the House, and in 2015, we wrote a new law, which was called Trade Promotion Authority, but it had a bill in there we called Level the Playing Field. And what that bill did was give us new tools to go out enforcing our trade laws, but to go after unfair trade practices. And in steel and aluminum, the unfair trade practice is, it's mostly China, but there are some other countries, but mostly China, they overproduce. So there's overcapacity, then they dump their product at lower prices into countries, which is an unfair trading practice. And in particular, they do something called transshipment, where they'll dump their steel, but they'll ship it to us through another country, so it doesn't look like it's coming from, say, China. We should go after that. So I really think that the best policy is to be surgical and specific and go after those specific unfair trade practices, because they are unfair. But the president's right to point that out. I'm just not a fan of broad-based, across-the-board tariffs, because I think you'll have a lot of unintended consequences. You'll have a lot of collateral damage, not just consumers, but businesses. We've got about 140,000 jobs. The press is back there, so don't quote me specifically on this. This is just what I've read. I'm doing this off the top of my head. Got about 140,000 jobs in steel manufacturing, making, but we got about 6.5 million jobs in this country in steel consuming. You know, I mean, look at that right there. Look at Kohler. Look at Milwaukee Tool. You know, look at Toro. There's a lot of steel and some aluminum in those products. So it affects those industries and those jobs as well. So my preference and my hope is that at the end of the day, we can make this more targeted and surgical so that we can focus on a legitimate problem, dumping and unfair trade practices, which are taking jobs, without having this kind of collateral damage.
And just a follow-up to that, what can you and Congress do to persuade the president to a better path, so to speak?
We're working on that right now. You bet. Yeah.
So I kind of wrote this question down. I've had it for many years. I know.
What's your name?
Collins Huang is my name.
Nice.
I know the Republican Congress is weighing the 2018 agenda now, and here's something to consider. In February 2005, President Bush outlined a major initiative to reform Social Security, which would include partial privatization of the system personal Social Security account. And then that option will permit Americans to divert a portion of their Social Security tax into a secured investment.
Right.
My question is, with the Republican-controlled House, Senate, and the presidency, why are we not doing this reform?
Yeah, I actually was one of the authors of that bill in 2005. That was, I did it with a guy named Sununu. So they called it Ryan Sununu back in those days. So I'm a big believer in that. And it's not privatization, by the way. It's not even partial. So if the word privatization when it comes to Social Security, in my opinion, is give your money to a stockbroker, good luck, go have a nice day. What these proposals did was say that a part of your payroll taxes would go into an account that you own, that's your private property, but it would be invested by the government in things like thrift savings accounts, in index funds. So there would be guardrails and protections on it. And the reason that I've always been a supporter of this idea is because right now we do not have a property right to our Social Security benefits. My dad died when I was a kid, and so my mom had to make a choice. My mom worked as a lab technician in a hospital for a number of years. Does she get what she paid, or did she get what my dad had? She had to give up all the payroll taxes that she had earned in her working career and then take my dad's, because it's not a property right. So in that case, my dad's his payroll taxes didn't come to us, and she got to keep hers. She had to pick which one. And there's like a $350 death benefit. So I've long believed that we should have property rights to our payroll taxes in our retirement, because it is, after all, our money. And the challenge is, the younger you are, the worse you'll do. At my age, I'm an X-Gen. I'll get about a 0% rate of return on my payroll taxes. My kids will get about a negative 1% rate of return. So my kids would actually do better stuffing their payroll taxes in their mattress for the rest of their lives than putting it in the system. What's worse is, because of the way the demographics work, is there's going to be a 24% across-the-board benefit cut in 2032 when the trust fund is exhausted. So we've got to do something to fix this problem. I've long believed that that's a good idea. The challenge, and you asked, why isn't the Republican Congress doing it? This is the one program in all law that cannot be what we call reconciled. So it's a filibusterable bill. So this has to be bipartisan under just any kind of scenario. And we have yet to get the bipartisan consensus on the best way to fix Social Security. I think maybe at the end of the day, a commission. We have a colleague of ours, a guy named Tom Cole, that's proposing a commission to fix this so that Congress would have to vote on a commission's proposal. That may be, at the end of the day, the only way we fix this problem. The challenge is every year you don't do something, the hole gets deeper and the solution gets harder. So I've always believed, let a person have their money work for them, get 5, 6, 7% rate of return on your money. It's your property. When you die, it goes to your family, and use it to get you a better benefit at the end of the day, and do it in a safe and secure way so that it's just like the federal government thrift savings plan that federal workers have. So you're not just gambling it on the market or things like that. It's in safe index funds. So I personally love this idea, but we do not have anywhere close to the ability to pass it because of the way the rules are structured. And I think maybe at the end of the day, a commission is probably the right way. You guys got a 401k, I assume? Yeah, it could work better if it worked like that, where we can use the power of compound interest to work toward us, to get us a better retirement benefit. Sorry, you picked this topic I really like, so I get going. So, yeah.
Speaker Rod, thanks a lot for coming today. We really appreciate you being here. Come to a great company, with great values. Got a question about infrastructure. So when I'm driving down the road with my daughter, she insists when we go under certain bridges that we stay to the outside lanes. And thought it was kind of strange, but she showed me an article where a family was on the inside lanes and got stuck, and bridge debris started falling down on them. And I'm just wondering, what's the plan for infrastructure? What are we going to do with that?
Yeah, so that's part of our 2018 plan. As I mentioned, we ran on this plan. We called it the Better Way: tax reform, rebuilding the military, regulatory relief. We met with the president after the election. He said, I love all of this, but add infrastructure to it. So we said, great. So here we are. The plan is to do this in about 5 or 6 different bills. First, we're going to do airports and runways. The FAA has to be reauthorized, and we got to move to a modern system, a GPS-based radar system. Then we're going to do the traditional infrastructure you're thinking of, which is like highways and roads and bridges. We want to do canals and harbors and the grid. And we're going to do that in different stages. One of the biggest problems we have is big projects, multi-year cross-state projects take at least 4 years just to get approved. So we want to streamline the approval process so we can get these modernization projects going through the system faster. We also want to do what we can to get private sector dollars involved, because we can leverage public sector dollars to get more infrastructure in it. So we're going to do regulatory streamlining. We're going to do the bill that we are working on right now as a down payment on the infrastructure plan. And then we want to also work on things like water. You got a big port in Savannah here, things like that. Don't you bring cars through there? Isn't that a big carport? So those are the kinds of things. We think that's good for jobs, good for modernizing the economy. So we're going to start in about a week and a half with our infrastructure bills and move into the summer passing these bills. The one point I'd say is we're in the middle of a 5-year highway bill where we cut spending 2 years ago to pay for a 10% increase in highway spending and highway funding. And we're in the middle of that right now. And that is probably why you're seeing a bunch of road construction, because we're in a long-term highway bill that's being deployed right now. So, yeah. Nobody else? Anybody else? Yeah.
Hi, Speaker Ryan. My name is Erica. I'm in the tax department. And my question is, from your perspective, what do you see as next that might impact companies like Home Depot and other large companies?
In taxes?
Tax specific, other policies.
Oh, well, I think the regulatory, what a lot of folks don't realize was we have had such a regulatory rush over the last number of years that we're calming down the regulatory system, and we're trying to bring more predictability, because one of the big hidden taxes on businesses especially are just unforeseen regulations that are extremely costly to implement. And so I think we're bringing some sustainability to that. One thing that I think that this agenda has done is it's opened up our energy markets. And that, I think, is going to make a big positive difference for lots of different businesses, because it's going to lower our energy. The tax reform itself, 41 million ratepayers, 41 states and about 80 million ratepayers are going to get lower utility bills. So I think what's happening is we're lowering our energy costs. Just the tax bill alone is lowering energy costs, but we are opening up our energy markets, and I think that is going to help businesses quite a bit. With respect to the tax code itself, we're very excited that we just did this overhaul, so I don't think there's going to be any big changes coming through the tax code. We'll wait till the end of the year to see if there's any technical glitches that need to be fixed. There always are when you do something this big and you rewrite the tax code for the first time in 31 years. But with respect to businesses, our big focus is going to be on people and employees. We're getting to a part of time in our century where the boomers are retiring. And for all those people who had kids in the 50s and 60s, they had a whole bunch of them. And we haven't had as many since. We got 3 in my family, so we're carrying our weight, but our birth rates have gone down. What that basically means is and this is part of the Social Security's challenges, we have a 90% increase in the retirement population in America, but only a 19% increase in the working population following them into the workforce. So we've got to figure out how to be more productive with less people, but we're also going to have a competition for people. And you're seeing this pop up in different industries around the country. So what we want to focus on, which employers are telling us is, how do we help them get workers? And how do we help them get workers with the skills they need to do the careers and the jobs they need to get done? We need welders in Wisconsin. I'm just talking where I am from. So what we are going to be focusing on in Congress this year is streamlining our career and our technical education system. We got about 49 different job training programs spread across 9 different government agencies. It's a complete mess. It's a big waste of resources. We want to streamline that and get that back to the states so that communities can tailor education in technical colleges. You call them community colleges here, we call them technical colleges, so we can streamline the curriculum based on what the local economy and employers need so people can go get the skills that they want and need to get jobs that are being made available. We have Foxconn coming to Wisconsin. It's the flat panels that you have to your phone and stuff like that, that's what Foxconn makes. We're going to have 13,000 workers at this new state-of-the-art high-tech facility, and we need to train people. So what are we doing? We're building a campus right there. We're recruiting workers, and we're going to create a Foxconn curriculum to train them how to program and run robots and do all the high-skilled, high-tech manufacturing. Great careers, really good wages, but we have to have an education curriculum that can train them to do these things. We want to see that across the country. So the biggest thing we think we can do to help employers and that employers can look forward to is a real emphasis on career and technical education, making 2-year school cool again. I can't think of any other place that would benefit more than Home Depot because it's people using tools, people using their hands, and those kinds of jobs are good jobs, skilled trades jobs. They're in great demand, but we don't have an education system that really is following that. And we also want to encourage people to move from welfare to work so that they can get on their feet and get a good career. That is going to be our big emphasis this year, and I think that's what employers can look forward to. And that's basically what employers are telling us. You got regulatory relief, that's fantastic. Tax reform, it's amazing, but we need to work on our workforce, and that's what we want to do, is work on workforce. Okay. Yeah.
So you mentioned that some of the future policies would impact utilities costs and lower utility costs for consumers. Would you then foresee easing back on energy code changes that would not be cost effective for consumers?
That's a local, that's not a federal thing, that's a local government, state government ordinances, and I think that's something you'll see at the local level, not at the federal level. We believe in energy efficiency, but we've done a lot of those bills already on Energy Star and energy efficiency ratings. So what we're trying to do in the energy play is get ourselves off of foreign oil, we're doing that, get ourselves independent as a producing country, and by actually opening up our own energy supply, countries like OPEC don't control the price anymore, and we can keep prices level. We are now the #1 gas producer in the world, natural gas. We are also on track to becoming the #1 oil producer in the world. And that means OPEC can't play with us like they did in the past. That means our dollars stay here in this country, don't go to finance things like terrorism. It also means we can supply our allies with oil and gas so they don't have to get it from the likes of Vladimir Putin. Good for our foreign policy, good for jobs, and there's a ton of construction jobs associated with that. In just just the Permian Basin in Texas, is this part of Midland, Texas. The oil field that has now been discovered because of new technology, new drilling technology, is as big as the Saudi Arabian oil field. And that's just that part of Texas. So what we are seeing is an absolute renaissance of energy, which will compress our prices so we don't have massive energy price spikes at the gas pump, or, like I said, it was 19 degrees this morning in Wisconsin. You know, it's still cold where I come from. It costs a lot of money to heat your home. You can get natural gas prices to be low and stable. That's really good for consumers. It's really good for paychecks. So that is what we're able to accomplish by having an energy policy that opens up American energy production. And that also produces a lot of good construction jobs. So that's basically been our big focus this year, and in 2017, and we're really happy with how that's going. So, all right.
The Home Depot since 1979 has been empowering the doer and all of those that are working around their homes. Thank you for empowering the doer in America. We appreciate it through tax reform. We know that you're an owner of the Green Bay Packers, but you know what? Any point in time you want to come work in the aisles of our stores, we would be happy to have you. So
look at this.
we will. Got a
You want to
special
put this
gift
on me,
for
don't you?
Whatever you
I
want
can
to do.
tell you.
Whatever you want to do.
Perfectly fine. Absolutely. Very cool. Look at this.
Awesome.
Cheese Packers, excellent. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, Craig. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you.